fellow Rotarians. Yes, I've got a bit of a presentation here for you today. It's been prepared especially for us today. It's never been seen before, and I doubt very much where it's going to be seen again afterwards. But nevertheless, it's designed on a little bit of fun, because it could be a little bit of a boring world, really, the IT industry, and especially considering I know the diversity of interest in our members here today. Or perhaps just to explain that a little bit further, to say that whenever I or anybody else in our company have ever put on a presentation, it's normally been to a customer, and we've known what the needs were of that customer, whether it's a problem, how to resolve it. So it was dedicated specifically around what their interest was. But what we have here today, or the dilemma that I've had really, is that we've got a lot of people here today, and it's so diverse. There's many here I know that wouldn't even switch a computer on if it was given to them. whereas I know there's a lot of others that their business relies 100% on the computers. So there's quite a wide gap there. So when I was making my notes in preparing this for you today, it's based around fun. Okay, and it's not going to be really specific. I'm not going to use buzzwords. I'm not going to blow your mind off with IT, but it will, I hopefully, bring home quite a few points for you, if I can get it working. I think I've got to be close to this machine. Right, okay, I've got to be close to it. Okay, so as I said, it's been prepared especially for this meeting. But what I wanted to do, first of all, is imagine or get us thinking along the lines of what it was like before we had IT. Before there was any office machines.
I thought IT was cakes and crumbs. Put it with gin.
Okay. Well, how did business survive without these machines? I'd like you to think back to, well, not really perhaps as far back as this, but then again they got by, of course.
He's the one in the corner.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go on to.
Colin.
Oh, sorry.
You got smaller staff.
I know I can control it there.
I know about digital entertainment. Digital.
So, what I'm going to cover here, I'll briefly cover these items because each of these specific items I could take all day to cover with you. But really, as I say, we've covered a little bit about the good old days and the mainframe, mini-frame, and PC network, which is quite important, obviously, today. Servers in the home and viruses and bugs. Okay, and as I said, there's going to be no buzzwords. But before I do, let's think, as I say, again, what it was like without machines. When we had the quill. And I assume there must have been in the office some pecking order there, and then you probably had the boss had a lovely one, and the junior had a...
Are we talking about the quill?
I don't know. But there must have been some... Now these are machines which I remember, and no doubt you would also remember yourself. And some of the communication systems that we had in them early days. In fact, I remember being a kiddie, and my father, of an evening, when it was dark, he used to sit one side of the room, and I used to sit the other, and we used to have a torch, and we used to talk to each other. So Morse code must have been pretty important in them early days.
You've just gone right in front of the camera.
The telegraph with the PCAP, the motorbikes, and, as a communication system. And even
That's
the
right.
telex. The telex, strange enough, is still being used today by, especially in some shipping companies or third world countries and Nigeria and so forth. But then the telephone. Now, not forgetting, of course, the postman, who I think instead has done a damn good job over there, and still does today. Yeah. But then early mechanised machines. There was various other types of machines. There were duplicators. Well, we know the Roneo, of course, Roneo Corner there. Roneo had a duplicator machine which was pretty famous throughout the UK and, in fact, throughout the world. It's an international product. And photocopiers. We may remember the early wet copy photocopier, which was electrostatic. An entirely different process of photocopying today, which is on plain paper. And it was quite a major breakthrough when they invented that plain paper photocopier. What we have here now, because of digital electronics, is this multifunctional machine which does literally everything apart from making a cup of tea. do all of the things that you would require to print something on paper. And you can use it as a telephone,
Can
you
you
can use
have
a fax
IT
machine,
if you can't make
scans,
a cup of tea?
a document, to put it into a server,
science.
store it away as data somewhere. He'll do it in colour, black and white, multi-copying. Does an enormous amount of work. But that's the progress of machines today. As I say, I don't want to spend a great deal, because I haven't got a lot of time here now to cover what I wanted to cover with you, and we'll get into it in a moment. But the main point, so you may have recognised some of these machines. But as it says, the first computers really were meant for military or large organisations. Really wasn't meant for small or medium-sized businesses. Small or medium-sized wouldn't know what to do with a big bit of equipment like that anyway. But then what happened, the mini frame came along. And it sort of opened up, I think, all the business eyes to what we could actually start using computers for. And that's when the revolution came in. Because when one bright spark designed the first little PC to link together to another PC, and then through a router as such that would also take it to scanners or other printer machines, and then into larger networks, and also into the wide world web as such. That's really what has revolutionised the business world.
Like my phone.
Right, okay. Now, my memory is not so short that I don't remember, I haven't forgotten these machines. Well, I've forgotten this one, of course.
Oh, I remember that one.
Right? But the overhead cables, we've still got a lot of them today. And in fact, there's a lot of countries that have only got overhead cables. But what do we have? This is today's technology. Now, what tomorrow has in store for us?
Answer
Well,
it.
it's well, we're not sure whether that's capable yet, but who knows? So what we have here is just a small little example of a little setup for the home. Now these are items that you can now readily go into a local PC store and buy yourself and connect together. But in the home, the mind boggles truly what's going to happen with the IT industry. Because we've now got computers that will control what you actually eat in your fridge, will even keep account of the goods and even reorder stock for your fridge. Now where does it stop from there? It's controlling the on and off switches, the volumes of TVs, when you're at home, the alarm systems, CCTV, all of these controlled by the computer. So it's pretty mind-boggling, and that's what I wanted you to do today actually, is just give a little bit, open our minds what the IT industry really is all about. And it's probably some of us here that probably don't even know what IT stands for.
Information technology.
That's right, information technology. But that's probably, well, now the web. Now again, I could talk for a month or so about the web, which I won't do, of course. But the wide world web, it's an enormous, it's a library, it's a museum, it's a shopping centre. You just sit there at the machine, you can have access to all these things and have your shopping delivered to your door as well. I went on the web the other night when I was preparing some of these slides for you, and I asked for an internet cafe in Shanghai just to get a photo. And there was hundreds, if not thousands. And if you think throughout the world, all of these establishments are all set up so that people can go log onto a computer and access the world. This one here actually is a photo of my wife Carol, who was recently on a cruise. I think that's Grenada, I'm not sure. And on board the ship, they charge you like a wounded bull to log on to the internet. You buy a little card which lasts for an hour or so. So I went ashore. And by going ashore, I went into this internet-free area. And the wireless bit means, of course, that this laptop, which is that one there, that laptop hasn't got any wires linked up to the telephone. It's wireless. Right? In fact, you can even unplug it with the power if you want. It's wireless because it's got its own built-in battery. And now that's what's coming into these machines. There's a lot to cover, which I won't take up too much of your time, with the types of software. Now, these ones at the top here, will be the ones that most businesses will use. And in fact, most businesses, as you probably, quite a few of us will be aware here, they don't differ, because most businesses will be buying something, selling something, banking money in their bank account. They want to produce a profit and loss and balance sheets or whatever at the end of the day. And the same as now, my memory tells me that I remember the time when I used to work out payroll with the tables, the Inland Revenue tables, with PAYE, and there was a long exercise, and all your figures had to end up at the end of the day, balance off the end of the day, the end of the month, the end of the year. Well, of course, now, account software does all this for you. It's just magic. That's the way I can explain it. But I won't cover all of them. Let me just pick on one, DIP, because that seems to be the in thing today, DIP. Now, I've used some old terminology there. Well, DIP is abbreviated from Document Image Processing. And the worm drive actually stood for W was write, once, read, many. So in that type of drive, whenever you stored anything, you don't want to on a worm drive, it can never be altered. That technology has now even moved on into software, because we can now have software that will encrypt all of the data, so it can never ever be altered. So you can feel assured that if you draft something, a contract or whatever, it can be stored away and it can never ever be altered. Well, I'll move on from well, viruses and bugs and hackers. Okay, well there is sorry about that. But viruses, bugs and hackers, there is a difference between the two. And really, viruses, they're designed really by very malicious people. They're by very clever people, I will add, but people are a little bit warped in because they design these viruses so that you would download off the internet, or you'll get it off of a floppy disk or a CD, and it will go into your computer and corrupt it and do a lot of damage to your machine. They get no gain from that whatsoever, apart from the fact that they know they've done you some harm. They're very malicious people, and there's a lot of them about, unfortunately. But fortunately, I'm a firm believer there's more good people in this world than there's bad people, and so consequently we've got some good people writing antivirus software to prevent that coming onto your computer in the first place.
The same people.
Well, that's quite possible. That's quite possible. There was someone that I knew that actually replaced Windows, and he was accused actually of having someone going around smashing them. But never mind, that's very true. But hackers, they're quite different. The hackers, because they're actually hacking into your system for usually a monetary gain. They want to grab your information and go and do something with it to their benefit and probably to your loss. So what you have to have then is, with hackers, is what we call firewalls. You've got to have some protection to stop people getting onto your system, clever people. And this is done by passwords and special types of software that will filter only regulated, authorised information into your system. All right. Okay, well, I don't want to get confused on this one. I did throw this on just to explain a little bit about a bespoke software package. Okay, let me cover that one then. Now, this is just a mathematical equation, and it's something I did come across not so long back. And it's something quite easy you can actually even draw up now today with the software that is readily available off the shelf, such as a spreadsheet. Now, let's just look at a problem. Imagine this house you want to build in the desert somewhere, and this house you want to build up in, I don't know, North Pole, freezing cold. And so you're sitting at your desk and you're now designing them two houses. You know what the temperature you want inside each house? How are you going to do the calculation? It's just really a mathematical equation. But once you've done that mathematical equation, that software that you've designed can be used for various other types of products or various different areas. And how do you do that? Well, just to cover that mathematical equation, it's R values and K factors. And there is an internationally recognised method of measuring heat flow through a product. It's a square foot material, 1 inch thick, in 1 hour, or 1 degree Fahrenheit temperature change. Once you know what that flow is, it's the K factor. And so the K factor is now duplicating of that thickness to come up with different territories. And then don't want to get too confused. But
you know all this, Mark?
anyway, that calculation goes into a spreadsheet.
Do you know all this?
So that whenever you just alter
Ryan.
the product or alter the territory, you get the answer. But that's a bespoke package. That's something that not all of us would I doubt if anyone in this room here would need that one. But that's something, that's a bespoke package.
Not true, Brian. Not true.
All right, so there's something I wanted to relate. I want to come up with something here now because there's something quite important I wanted to explain to you and within the IT industry, but I want to be able to relate to something. And now I know that we can relate to the Betamax and the VHS era. I think we all knew the problems that we had then. We used to go into a store and there'd be on one side all Betamax and on the other side VHS. So we could physically see the difference. And in fact the sizes of the cassettes were different. You can actually physically see that. Well, fortunately what happened was one bought the other one and they dominated the marketplace. We had no problem no more. We, the end user, had no problem no more. But that problem has been there and it still is in the IT industry in other products, in software, which I'll cover very shortly. But before I lead on to that, I wanted to talk about that facsimile. Because the facsimile was used, it was invented actually, and used before the telephone was ever used. Now some of us may not be aware of that, but the facsimile was actually used by the military. And what they used to do, they used to have the guns down here and it's firing over these mountains or whatever, and then someone would go and run a big cable and go up into the hillside or up on the trees and he'd find out where the gun, where they're dropping. And he'd do a little drawing, put a cross, and he'll send that down the machine to the guns machine. And because the way a fax machine works, it just scans across the page, it goes off, 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 on, off, on, and then it zooms and comes back again, and the receiving fax machine receives all them on, offs, and it prints it on a piece of paper. And it really is as simple as that. That's how our fax machine works. But what happened was, once business started using office machines and getting involved with IT, business started to realise that there was a need for facsimiles in the business environment. So what they done was, there was, say, someone like Canon, this is only just to pick on a name, Canon actually brought onto the marketplace what they called a fax machine, which we now call Group 1. Now this fax machine would only talk to another Canon machine. And the marketplace for that then was people like Woolworths. So at the end of the day, their head office, when all the other branches closed down, they could fax through all of the take-ins or information, and it all goes to the head office. And then what happened was, Sharp got involved, they designed one. Toshiba got one, and they designed one. And it was getting like the Betamax and the VHS industry. And so what happened was, all of a sudden Canon got together with Toshiba and they said, look, you do something special to your machine, we'll do something special to ours, we can talk to one another, but nobody else can. We'll dominate the marketplace. So that's what they done. And then BT got involved, because BT said, had enough, right? You're causing so much confusion out there, right, that we're now going to regulate what machines we're going to allow you to connect to our telephone system. And what we're going to do, we give you 2 years to do it. They said, well, to the manufacturers, who we're all in Japan there was a manufacturer anywhere else in the world apart from Japan. And they said, you're now going to produce what we call a Group 3 fax machine. We call Group 1 when it's like-for-like manufacturer talking to its same machines. We call Group 2 those that talk to other manufacturers' machines. And Group 3, you're going to have to talk to everybody. So for the next 2 years, you can use 1 or 2. In 2 years' time, they're all going to go on Group 3. And the only thing we want you to do is to go through what they call a handshaking process. In other words, this machine phones this number and it says, hello, anyone there? He says, yes. Who are you? He says, well, I'm such and such. He says, okay, so I'm going to send something. Okay, send it. So he sent it. Did he receive it? Yes. And you just got to be able to record that both end on the machines. And that's the basics. All the bells and whistles are added on top afterwards by manufacturers. Right. So that problem was overcome. So we had some government body, or not actually a government body, but some big BT, a big body, saying, here's what we're going to legalise this system now of how we're going to have facsimiles in the marketplace. Excellent. Did the job. Took away all the confusion. But what we have today is software where who's going to control that? Who's going to bring in all these? There is no ruling body there. There's no ruling body on the internet at the moment. So who's going? And at the moment, we've got all these very clever people designing software packages, doing very special jobs, and then all of a sudden they sell it all. Wonderful. And then someone comes along and adds to it. They come up with something a bit more special to add to that. So it's what we call an upgrade. It's a new version. Worse than that, you get another company that's working on the same type of product, does it a little bit different. Right? We, the end users, we've got data which we're working on, and we can't run it on various other programs. Now, I've actually experienced this, but I've got some video that I've put on here. I've actually experienced that myself, whereas, you know, just to name a few, there's Nero, there's Windows Media, Windows Movie Maker, and you can't, they won't run the same on either of them. So it's a very confusing world out there in that software marketplace, because of, there's been no governing body to come down and say, well, here's the way it's got to be. Here are the standards. Microsoft is doing it with all the Microsoft range of products, and if you stick within the Microsoft range, then they should all be compatible. It's just when you start moving outside. And the idea is moving outside because someone's come along with something better than what Microsoft obviously have got. So it causes problems. Oh, well, I wanted to touch on this one as well, because this is quite close to my heart. But just to cover our instrumentation and computers has affected this in such a very short period of time. You know, I'm talking about something like 10 years, the changes that have occurred. Because I come back from the old school, really, when it comes to navigation, which is the old compass, hand bearings, and the night before you went on a passage, you couldn't have a drink, you had to stay sober. You had to work out all your tables, your tidal streams, and work out how long it take me here to there and draw it. And then the following morning when you go out on the boat, you've actually got to look at your chart and getting bearings and making sure that your helms have got the right compass bearing. It was a lot of work. Now, it's not. You go on, you can have a good drink the night before. you have a good, perhaps that's what I like, I don't know. But you can have a good drink because we woke up in the morning even with an hangover. And you can go to your boat and go, bang, where am I? It tells you exactly where you are. You go, right, okay, I want to go there, or there. And it'll do all your calculations for you. Because that is quite probably linked up to all your tidal streams, even to the meteorology, your weather and so forth. And in fact, if you really want to be lazy, start your engine and push George, and it'll take it in automatically. You haven't even got steering. Now that's what instrumentation has brought within such a short period of time. It's IT. Better than that, I've just got to throw the last one in on that, and that is what's this latest one, which is on your VHS radio. To me, VHS radio was Mayday, or whatever you want to use it along them lines. Well now, when you register your radio transmitter or receiver on a VHF, you actually have to give a description of your craft, whether it's an aircraft carrier, a tanker, or it's a small craft. Now the idea is because when you're out there in the channel perhaps, and it's a bit foggy, and you've got your radar going, and you see all these bip, 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 bips, and you don't know what them bip, bips are. You might hear a big brrr, but you don't know what they are. So you can now actually see what craft it is. Because you push another button on your computer, and it'll give you all description of that craft, whether it's a young little sailing boat or it's a big tanker. Big tanker, you get out of its way. Right? but that's what's happening with the IT world. Really.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
This is January 2008 and we're now in Grenada. The current has tried to sell this price and he still can't get rid of it. This is January 2008 and we're now in Grenada. The current has tried to sell this price and he still can't get rid of it.
Right, okay. Now that was taken on a small little camera that was not a video camera. It's designed specifically for photo. Consequently, you can see all the bit hazy. It's all to do with a picture. Incidentally, guys, that this is all quite new to me, this video bit and photography. As you know, it was sort of thrust upon me. But I rose to the challenge and I'm looking into it. So I am actually getting better. So you can criticise a little bit at somebody's video, you can see very shortly. It's a bit of a laugh, I think, anyway. But I am getting better. And I'm learning a lot from that. This you can see is a photo taken quite clear. This one I'm trying to score points, of course, for rotary absence up here, but I couldn't get away with it.
in business, in the community, and internationally. Associated with the distinction of being a member are certain responsibilities. At the basis of Rotary is fellowship, regular attendances feel of service in each Rotarian's personal, business, and community life. The advancement of international understanding, goodwill, and peace through world fellowship of business and
Okay, so as I said, that was also on a small little camera, which is not really meant for a digital camera. Now, I bought a camera last month, and I took some video. I'm not happy with that camera, it's actually gone back. I've got a new one here now, and it's a nice little one. It's supposed to be, it's advertised as the world's smallest video, so you can actually comfortably in your pocket. But apart from that, the reproduction is supposed to be very good. But here we go, is I've come to grips with the new camera.
Are you drunk?
No, the ship's heeling at 45 degrees.
Well, there's a lot to learn. so if anything, we can only go forward, really.
Right.
Oops. I need to do it for me, I think.
It's another horror movie.
Yeah, another horror movie. All horror movies today.
Yeah. You impressed the women.
It's the best speech you made, Colin.
We've got applause.
There's young Raymond. That's the trouble with all this IT stuff, Colin, isn't it? It plays up now and again.
Bang.
This is all your vibrations. No, it's him. It's him.
I've got an appointment. To go up Shepherd's Hill. Christ, this is
Oh,
like,
Bert, let me show you that.
this is like a sinking ship.
Yeah.
See you, Jim.
See you, mate.
This was a
Hello to all the Rotarians in 1030. I'm delighted to be here so early in the Rotary year because there's lots of exciting things that
Now, I've put that on there actually to show you what can actually be done with technology now. That was actually on the internet. And because of special software programs, we can actually copy what is on the internet. Oh, okay. Now, I also, what I did last week was I went around my office with our support area to show you what happens when there's a problem with the machines. These guys that you see here now, they are gainfully employed, 100% sitting down by the desk, talking to customers and resolving their problems over the telephone, down the internet, via satellites, with viruses and so forth. And also, what we have is in big screens at the back there. This one here, for example, is actually linked to computers. It's actually talking all the time, every couple of seconds, he's talking to some of our customers' machines, and it's asking them questions, simple, basic questions. How are you? How are you feeling? Any problems? And based upon these sort of questions they ask, they can predict if something's going to go wrong with that machine before it actually goes wrong. Them computers that you see there, flip-flop, as you see, double screen, is because they could perhaps be working on the customer's machine remotely, and they've got a transmitted image of what the customer's machine is, and they've actually got the top one, they're working on something else, downloading and interfering and altering. I want to finish off by just reverting perhaps to a little bit. Let's think about when we went to school. What was it like in our school? Because I remember chalkboard, and I remember pen and ink. I remember dipping the pen in the ink and smothering in ink.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So what did we actually?
Quink,
You know,
wasn't it?
what was
Q-U-I-N-K.
to us? We had some very clever people back in them days. There's no doubt about it. But they were taught quite different, you might say, than what the children are today. And in fact, the children today, what I can see, they are much more. Perhaps it's a shame. Perhaps they're not maybe losing a lot of their teenagers, but they seem to be more involved. I've got 10-year-old grandchildren, and they seem to know much more about business than what I do. They're really getting into these computers and machines. So what I have been, that's going to make a little noise. This again was copied off of the internet, and I just want you to get a feeling. This is American, because the internet can go anywhere in the world. And this was taken off the American website to show what they was doing there with children in the schools. Now this is the chalkboard. It's not chalkboard anymore, it's a big screen. It's all computerised. And if you pick up some of these points here, what they're saying to teach these children, it's quite mind-blowing. These are youngsters. And the knowledge that they're getting there, it's incredible. So, I don't know if you've ever seen that program.